Hey everybody, this is Larry Everett with Hyperspace Beacon, and we just finished with E3, and it was stellar, amazing. I mean, the stuff that from Star Wars. I just finished talking to Red up from OtiniCast and the things that he does with itstrap.podcast.com and what he did, and it was, I mean, my mind was blown. But one of the things that I was really concerned about with Star Wars: The Old Republic is this, with the trailer and whatnot, was how in the world does this fit into canon? Where does this all fit in? And how does this, is this canon now? And that kind of thing. And so what I did is I called up somebody I knew. And in fact, this is kind of the first time we've ever met. But his name is Dash. He does a channel on YouTube called SWTOR. And he talks about lore and some of the things that how everything fits together. So welcome, Dash. Good to have you here.
Thank you so much, Larry. I'm very excited. So excited. So pasty excited, actually.
Pasty excited.
I'm pasty excited. The closer I get to that light, the pastier I get.
Right.
Yeah. But thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, and honestly, I've followed your work on YouTube for a while, and I really enjoy it. And so anybody that doesn't follow Dash, what is the YouTube channel exactly again? I have it on my subs, but
I'm embarrassed to tell you. I'm going to hold up a lightsaber while I say this.
Oh.
The address is actually youtube.com/-dingo2, and I made it as a joke, but I can't change it. I wish it was Dash Star Wars, but no, it's -dingo2. So just forget that. Think about the lightsaber when you go and subscribe, or check out my videos at the very least.
That's right. They are really good. They are really good videos. I really like them because he like I said, he talks about lore all over the place, and it's kind of there is some spoilers on his channel, but he'll let you know if there's any spoilers regarding anything. So, but if you're into that, honestly, if you're into that, I get information from his channel all the time about what's coming up with the next Star Wars show. But anyway, what I want to talk about is this Sacrifice trailer. This trailer that for Star Wars: The Old Republic, for their next expansion. And first off, what did you think of that? What was your initial thoughts of the Sacrifice trailer?
I think it was a Blur Studios who made the vignettes beforehand as well that made the trailer. I thought it was gorgeous. I was blown away at that. At that point, I was like, how did they make something so riveting? And then a new cast of characters, a lineup that previously unseen, where I was enthralled by their stories within 2-3 minutes. I was like, that. How do they do that consistently? So the trailer really blew me away and just left me with a bunch of questions, which is always a good thing in my mind.
Yeah, and as as somebody that deals with videos and has been in doing video stuff for a while, I mean, we understand that a trailer kind of there's a couple things that a trailer has to do. It has to effectively tell you what either, in this particular case, what the game is about and what it's going to be about, and also does it get you to resubscribe or buy the game or whatever. And so how do you think that it fit with this trailer? Did this tell the story effectively? Obviously, I think the answer is yes on that one, because I mean, honestly, we're both enthralled, right? I mean,
I was enthralled. I mean, the niggling question that was underlying was, okay, so the Republic and the Empire fight, and they are the two superpowers as we know it in the universe. And I mean, the Republic was pretty crippled from the Mandalorians beforehand, so they're weakened, and you think that's big enough. Then Revan comes back, mixes things up. He has his own expansion, and he brings in his own posse and kind of drills down on people a bunch more. And so it's really ground into a fine paste at this point. And then something called the Eternal Empire pops up, which was like, what, Infinite Empire? Like the Ricardan or whatever? And then I realized, no, these are new guys. I'm like, where have you been since forever? What's happened to the Emperor? How do you tie in, and how are you so powerful that you've just crushed these guys? Are they that weakened? How is it going to pick up from the original story? So it definitely left me with a lot of questions about the Eternal Empire and their motives, and Zakul, the planet, as well. Or is it system or planet? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, it's Well, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot of difference between the systems planet because systems usually include the planet. It's usually named. The systems are usually named after the primary planet. Bespin. This Bespin system was named after the primary planet of Bespin. But so I mean, at any rate, I mean, as far as where they come from, that's actually a very interesting question, and one that has sort of been answered by some of the devs. It's not. It's been like glazed over. Glazed over. They're not glazed over, but it grazed it. They said that the Zakul system or the Eternal Empire is kind of an edge system, kind of like what I guess the corporate systems, or even as what the Sith Empire used to be. It used to be just the small cluster of planets inside the Stygian caldera, and I guess the Zakul Empire is kind of similar to that, except it's I'm assuming that it's on the edge of known space. They haven't really
next. It's in wild space or just out or like something like that. Or?
Something like that. They didn't really say.
I'm pushing you for answers. I'm sorry. It's like tell me where it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. That's the way I was like with the devs. Like, where is this thing? Tell me. Show me on the map. Here's the atlas. Show me where it is. Yeah. Because that's the way I am with. I don't know how you are with lore, but when every single time that a new planet is mentioned or some planet I hadn't heard of, I pull up that atlas and go, where the heck is it? Where is it? And Zakul being completely new, I'm really interested to know where it falls into the universe and how it became so powerful and things along that line. And that's obviously they're not willing to explain that yet. However. So anyway, let's go back to the beginning, go back to the trailer, and talk about the things that the trailer are supposed to do. Does it get you to want to subscribe to the game again? Did it qualify that? Did it?
Well, it was more of a steps process. So, at the start, it had my curiosity. It piqued my curiosity, but then to quote Leonardo DiCaprio from Django, now it has my attention. That's what I thought at the end. I was like, well, now you've got my attention. So the first thing I did is I went to the website and I started snooping around, seeing what happened, the gameplay elements, because unfortunately these trailers, as outrageously gorgeous as they are, I'd watch movie after movie if they're made like this. They don't give you a clear indication of how the game is going to change, how it's going to look, any of that. So yes, it piqued my interest to the point where I said, yes, I need to know what's going to happen. I'm still subscribed anyway, but if I wasn't, I probably would, not based on any of the perks or rewards, but primarily just because I found out about the different experience with companions and all that. But I'm sure that we're probably going to expand on that in a little bit, so I don't want to go too far into it ahead.
No, that's fine. Actually, but let's talk about how this fits in with what we know of the Star Wars universe. I mean, because at Star Wars Celebration, one of the I forget exactly which fan site asked, and I apologize to that fan site for not knowing off the top of my head who did that. But one of the fan sites asked at Celebration, is Star Wars: The Old Republic, is KOTOR 2, is that canon? Does that we'd actually talked before the show, and you'd mentioned that there was a possibility that Revan was going to be made canon, and so that was
nice,
So it was a question whether or not TOR was, and unfortunately TOR, or fortunately, however you want to describe it, falls under Legends still. So this isn't necessarily canon. However, one of the things that I think is really interesting about anything that falls under Legends is not that it's non-canon, so to speak. I mean, it's not canon, but that what this means is that it can now be pulled from. This is part of like the wardrobe that any canon author can pull from. So it's possible that bits and pieces of this could be made canon or not. So first up, what are your thoughts regarding those stories not being canon, and should they be canonized? I mean, is this something that that I mean, what do you think about that?
It's a difficult question, but to be straightforward, I believe the sequel, it starts at the sequels at this point. So it starts at Phantom Menace, Episode 1, and then goes all the way to, 40 years later or 30 years for the build-up of the new sequels. So everything in between that. And we're jumping, like a couple of thousand years backwards for KOTOR?
Right.
Outside of that, I mean, so the beauty of KOTOR 1 is the fact that they could go play out there and it wouldn't send too much of a ripple forward because they're in a different timeline. But the problem is, I mean, let's take the humble lightsaber, for example. Something they decanonized is the lightsaber forms. So you don't have forms 1 through 7. In fact, in Star Wars Rebels, the Inquisitor mentioned Form 3. So suddenly Form 3 is real and forms are ipso facto canonized, but only one form. So the lightsaber itself, lightsaber crystals, now they're suddenly using Kyber crystals instead of the dual crystals. So even the kids in the trailer dropping the crystal into the lightsaber, it may not be canon. All the working pieces of the lightsaber as well, So it's such... there's like such a breadth of what they actually encompass in KOTOR by definition that the only thing that they could canonize is the story, and then the core like anything that they touch inside of the world's probably not, like lightsabers and things, because they've already stripped that back. So long answer short, no, it wouldn't work in canon, but I believe, as you said, them drawing from it, like I honestly believe that Star Wars Episode 7, for example, 7, 8, 9, are going to draw heavily from Legacy of the Force. I think that J.J. Abrams was smart enough to see that was one of the strongest storylines with the Solo twins and all that, and said, let's take from that. So I feel like, it's a drawing board, but even the star map itself has been greatly reduced, so...
Right.
I mean, it's insane. Have they released a new canon star map? Because I think I was looking for one the other day and I couldn't find it.
No, the only one that I'm aware of is the old atlas that existed pre-canon. And as far as as far as I'm concerned, that still loosely falls into canon as far as the location. Like any of the planets that were mentioned in canon, they're most likely still in the same locations or very similar locations, and that's not going to change. So,
but the beginning of the end obviously was I forget the name of the holocronist for Star Wars. Leland Chi, that's right.
Leland Chi, yeah.
I think he said on Twitter something about Korriban being renamed to Moraband, and I was like, I just got the knives and started sharpening them. I'm like, are we going to play Disney? And that was the beginning of the end. They just started selectively, they can do what they want. They're adding new planets like Lothal and stuff, but again... I think, as you said, only drawing from them will be realistic. Do I want KOTOR in there? Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and one of the things, actually, you'd mentioned this again before we started recording. We should have just recorded that before.
We should have. We were. So we were just like heartfelt chatting, We were just having a good old chat.
But at any rate, one of the things you'd mentioned is that with KOTOR, especially KOTOR with Darth Freya, she polarized the Force and actually depolarized. I should say that's actually a better term for it. Depolarized the Force and kind of made it into this gray thing, and that's one of the things that we're seeing here with this Sacrifice trailer. And how? Okay, now granted with current canon, which we're not exactly dealing with. We're kind of dealing with Legends canon as it all sits. Where is this possible? Is it possible to have this gray Force that we kind of see happening with Sacrifice, with the Sacrifice trailer? We have this duality of the one twin being light side and one twin being dark side, so to speak, and I don't know where the father fits into all this. Is he that gray character? Is that possible to have this duality that we see?
We'd seen it in... it's absolutely possible because, again, SWTOR doesn't fit into the canon realm anymore. But, if you look at Roan Fel, I believe, that the Emperor in the comics, he kind of went for that whole neutral side. They all had yellow blades like the two sons. Kyle Katarn... Actually, Luke Skywalker agreed with Kyle Katarn when he said, if you can use dark side powers, let's say like Force Lightning, as long as it doesn't come from an ugly place. Or Plo Koon, who had Electric Judgment, which was a different kind of lightning. So in the expanded Universal Legends, absolutely, the Force was more about morality and the gray area it encompassed where, you know, that's different. I feel like that is the most fun place because, as you said, Kreia, or Darth Treya, however you want to say it, she focused on people's decisions, and it was much more human because then you had that conundrum of I'm trying to do something good, but I could hurt somebody. There was no black and white, and I believe these two sons and the Emperor himself, you know, they didn't have like yellow Sith eyes the whole time. Right. Yet they were kicking the shit out of both Jedi and Sith. They didn't care. They just were driven by purpose. So I believe they're going to fall in this weird gray area, and you're going to, you know, and I think that's where it comes into the gameplay of your decisions are going to affect everything you do. I feel like that's where they're trying to take it back. It's going to be story-driven, and it's going to be like there's a weight to your choices, which is the essence of what I like to see in Greyness. So, yeah, I hope so. I hope it really just makes you regret some things you do, and you can't take it back. I mean, you've never seen that in KOTOR before. You have to, you know...
Yeah, you've seen it in KOTOR. Like, you've seen it in KOTOR, but you haven't necessarily seen it in Star Wars The Old Republic, because most of the...
No, guys. Yeah. I said the wrong one.
Absolutely. Yeah, in KOTOR, it is... That's a big thing in KOTOR. And that was one of the things that that people, when they went into Star Wars The Old Republic, and one of the things that they didn't get from the story of Star Wars The Old Republic was this huge, weighted choice that that you had to make. There was none of that what would you call it, the Bioware choice, you know, the thing where, oh, if you don't do this thing, this guy's going to die, or you don't do this thing, then it's going to completely change, or if you save this person or that person. And one of the things I think that they're doing, and I really hope that. I mean, I'm so passionate about this because this is huge for me. And because one of the things I liked about KOTOR, one of the things I liked about Mass Effect and Dragon Age and everything that BioWare was making is that the choices that you made during the stories had actual ramifications to your character. Whereas with Star Wars: The Old Republic, and although I love the stories in Star Wars: The Old Republic, the choices weren't as huge.
Superficial.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty superficial, yeah.
Exactly. Most of them boiled down to, okay, is your red bar going to go up or is your blue bar going to go up? And that was pretty much the choice that you were making. It wasn't. It didn't have, story ramifications. And from what I've seen or what I've heard and read is that these stories are going to change things. In fact, we know for certain, and I just received this information today, that you're going to choose whether or not this one guy lives or dies. This is one of the things that they showed. They said, and it'll have ramifications on the people that are with you, like your companions. Like if you kill this guy, he'll like become your companion or something like that. Or excuse me, if you don't kill the guy, he'll become your companion, and this other companion might leave you. Or if you kill him, this companion will stay with you, and that the other guy will obviously be dead. So, are we getting back to BioWare? Are we seeing BioWare story KOTOR again?
I absolutely believe so. I feel like the essence of a character is drawing a line in the sand. As difficult it is, and saying this is who I am and this is what I believe in, and then dealing with the ramifications. Now, the interesting thing to me was about the new companions, but also the weighted decisions with your companions. There was nothing more upsetting to me in SWTOR than taking Vet down to the deep recesses of darksideness where she won't speak to you and you just zap her, and then periodically she'll try and give you an out from that. And then you could go to the GTN and buy a bunch of companion gifts and lift her back up. And then suddenly she's birds and bees and flowers and trees, like the last 8 months of torture didn't happen. And I'm like, no. What? I need real relationships. I need people to react to me. If I just punched a kid in the head, can I strike that from the record? Why did I just go straight? I just punched a kid in the head and I'm looking up at people. They shouldn't be clapping going, can I have my companion gifts? People should be affected by me. I should have, a status with people. Oh, this guy's coming in, Dash the Outlaw or whatever, and or agreeing with one companion pisses off another one. That was the BioWare Baldur's Gate even was a classic where you were juggling your characters.
Exactly.
Like, please.
Baldur's Gate is a perfect example of that. I mean, juggling between your different companions to try to keep them all happy and not run away from you and all. Oh yeah, I'm just exactly, and I'm so and it seems that we're getting back to that. It seems that this is okay. This is maybe what BioWare had intended Star Wars: The Old Republic being. Like, you mentioned Vet. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, and spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played through this yet. I mean, it's been 4 years, guys.
It's a bit late.
Yeah. So, at any rate, there's one point where your companion, Malavai Quinn, who's the warrior companion, turns on you and becomes this traitor, and in the beta of the game, you could actually kill him, and he would stop being your companion. In the beta, early beta, you could actually kill him. But when the game went live, nope, sorry, we can't kill a companion because then we're losing a healer or whatever. And whatever game.
That's the other reason why I would have kept him around. I was like, I hated that guy. You betrayed me to that son of a bitch. What was it, Darth Barris?
Barris, yeah.
Oh my god, that son. Oh, he just pissed me off. And then but I was like, man, I need your heals, But I still would have probably offed him. I would have just been like, thinking, yeah, but it was like all's forgiven, and then you kept going.
Yeah. It's like, let's go, let's do our, let's go back to the battle, guys. I mean, oh my gosh, I wanted to be, especially that scene between when he actually does the betraying part. He's dead. He's dead. My Sith warrior was completely dark side, and just that. And my Sith warrior would also just kill, and during the stories, if somebody betrayed her or if somebody did something stupid, they'd be dead. There is no reason my character would have kept Quinn alive, and
just because he's a companion. Because the NPCs, remember that idiotic bionic second apprentice, which he's like, you just waited to off him the whole time you met him. He's like, oh, I'm betraying you. Barris has picked me, and I'm like, thank God for that. I've been waiting for so long for this. Come at me. So but no, just because he's a companion, you're like, oh, it's okay. Heal me from behind while you're shivving me, son.
Exactly. And I'm so glad to see that this is the direction that they're going again. That they're going back to the KOTOR, the KOTOR 2, and it just, to be honest, I mean, anything BioWare, that kind of weighted decisions, and I think that that's, I mean, I'm glad to see it, and as far as how everything fits in, man, I don't know. It's just, I mean, where is that cool? Where is all this? And I think that that's part of it. Introducing this third faction is part of the whole idea behind getting back to the BioWare story, because it's extraordinarily difficult to have a BioWare story where it is so evenly divided that there is an absolute good or an absolute evil. Introducing this third faction, I think, brings everything back to a middle, so to speak, to where, not everything is absolutely good. Not everything is absolutely evil. There's this gray area somewhere in the middle that is important, and it makes important stories. Anyway, I mean, thanks a lot for coming on the show. And
it was my pleasure.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to you. Where can go ahead and spill everything you got. Where can people find you on the internet? What have you been doing? What do you got coming out?
Shoot, that's a big one. Some of the exciting things. I mean, it's hard for me to talk about me and Star Wars, but today I just did a news video. I'm doing weekly recaps for StarWars7News.com, which is crazy exciting, pairing up with them. I'm still covering everything from reactions to, obviously, the SWTOR story for the Eternal Empire, because as they're releasing little bits and pieces, I'm trying to get more videos out for that. But mainly, I'll be talking about what what's happening with the lore and how that affects everything, and hopefully just leading up to the actual expansion. And then I might be doing some Let's Plays as well, but I'll be looking forward to touch base with yourself on that as well, because it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's lots of fun. Glad to have you on this show. Glad to have you on my channel, and really appreciate it. Anytime you want to come back, anytime you have something to say that you want to talk to Star Wars: The Old Republic fans, let me know. I'll let you on.
If you'll have me.
Absolutely.
Fans, if you'll have me. If you're not going to... There's just overwhelming negative responses. But yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
All right, well, if you want to follow me, what I'm doing on the internet, you can follow me on Twitter at Shadow, SHADDOE. Obviously, Hyperspace Beacon, which you're probably watching this on right now, hyperspacebeacon.com or youtube.com/hyperspacebeacon, or I'm on Tumblr as well. And obviously, catch my article on Massively Overpowered, also called Hyperspace Beacon, which comes out about every other week. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you see here, we've got a Patreon page as well that you can help keep this thing going. It's patreon.com/hyperspacebeacon. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you later.